Rabbit here. So continuing the adventure of trying to look into Rust UI frameworks, and we're going to have a look at egui. So let's get into it. So anyway, the brief description is an immediate mode GUI library that's easy to integrate and use. Works well for debug interfaces and tools. It can be used for both desktop and web applications. That's like the top level description. So let's have a look at some of the main features. So does it support multiple operating system platforms? According to what I've analyzed, it does, but I've only tested on Windows. Does it have a native look and feel on Windows, which is the platform I'm mainly interested in? It does not have a native look and feel on Windows. And then the web application support, based on the brief description, it does support it, but web application development is not in the scope of this review. So I've jumped over that part. Let's have a look at some of the GitHub stuff, stats. So the latest available tagged release or tag version that's available in the Rust package registry at the time of making this video is 0.311, and that was released or made available on March the 5th, 2025. Now, I haven't actually looked at those that are labeled as releases. The main reason is that lots of the when I went through different UI projects, there's very few of them that actually maintain a consistent release tagging. So it's actually better to go for to look at the tag and then see which was the latest version that actually has been published to the Rust index registry, and then use that. So it has 24.5 thousand stars, and the perception is that the development activity is that it's very active development. So there's continuous posting and updating of the files on the repository, for example. And then does it attempt to have some level of documentation? I mean, I'm not talking full manuals, I'm just talking that at least there would be some kind of documentation. So if you scroll down on the GitHub page, then it has links and other things here. So that's actually a positive thing. And also the other critical issue is that is there any examples? And if we look at it, actually has an examples directory with. I mean, in comparing with other UI projects, this is actually quite a good subset of different types of examples. So you can see how things are done. And the other thing I've analyzed, that does it need to have any other setup than what you need to configure in the actual cargo TOML file. And in this case, no, there's no extra configuration needed, and that's that I consider a positive thing. So anyway, let's have a look at the example. So now we're in the project, and we just look at the TOML file, and as we see that this is a nice clean TOML file. It only need to define the iframe version, which is the egui platform. So you just need to define what tagged version you want to use, and if it's available in the Rust index, then it will just do its thing. And we also see that this application or framework doesn't need a separate build.rs file with extra build commands to get its job done. Very clean, and this is actually the best situation for us normal people. I don't have to spend hours setting up other stuff. So anyway, to test the framework, I thought what would be one of the most simplest applications, minimum viable concept, so I decided to make a message box application. And then I also added more comments to it. to make it even understandable for those that haven't actually worked with Rust so much before, and give an opportunity to learn a little bit about Rust at the same time. So anyway, the first thing we do is we declare we want to use the egui framework. And then we define a struct to hold the application. And this is just an extra property added to the application, just either show or not show the message. And then we implement the default trait, which is equivalent to C++ new in a class. And it needs to return the default instance of the type. And in this case, it's just initializing the show message. Implement the app trait in my app. So it takes the frame app and then it's going to implement it in this my app structure. And then it creates, then we define a function called update. It takes a bunch of parameters, including the current context and the reference to the current frame, and then the instance of the type calling the function. Well, basically what this is doing is this is going to create a panel, and then it's going to add a button to it, and then it's going to add the default callback function to it. So if it's click, then what should it do? And then we're moving down, and then we have a show message box function, which will actually display the message box. It's got some, put a label in it and add some spaces to it, and then define the callback for the click feature. And then you have the main entry point for your REST application, which says that it should use the native options default to generate the application, because this is like supposed to be a multi-platform, so you could actually, in this instance, create a native application, or you can create a web application, or whatever other options are available. So this takes the defined app and executes the default, and then it returns the instance to this internal eFrame run native function. So it's not that complicated. And as I said, the idea with this, adding all these comments, and I'm going to be uploading this to my GitHub page with a link reference in the comments, so that you can actually download it yourself and investigate. And then, of course, if you're going to add more functionality, then if you read through the comments, then you will kind of understand how to add more buttons and text fields and other things. But I thought I'd keep the example as simple as possible. So anyway, let's have a look at it, what it looks like when it's run. So anyway, here's the result of running the program. So it's one window, and then you have a click box, or a box to click on, which says show message, and then you click on that, and it shows the message. And this message box is kind of like, it's embedded inside the frame of the application. So as you see, when I try and move it outside this window, you can't. And it's as you see, the look and feel is not Windows or Windows specific. So this is more generic. But then you can understand that if this also supports web applications, then you could see that this could be a web frame, and then within the web frame you have JavaScript that generates this message box. So then, so from that perspective, you would get consistent behavior if you have one application implemented for both Windows usage and then let's say a smartphone application. So that was a little bit of background. Where's the project, what it's intended for, the simplest possible example. And of course, you can then build on this information, so you can go get the examples or read further the documentation and then hopefully be able to ramp up. So, but I thought at least to give one tested example. Well, one of the things that when I've been doing this investigations is that in many cases, sadly, for many projects, the examples are not validated. So every time they update the platform, then they don't validate that the example still works. So I thought I would take a separate example, which is in this case a simple message box. Ensure that that works, and then provide that to the communities. Anyway, so that was that, and see you in the next one.